This is the Math Map Book Club, where ordinary parents encourage one another to develop an extraordinary appreciation of math. We love what we know and struggle over the unfamiliar. Through weekly conversation and exploration among friends, we can begin to enjoy ideas that seem difficult. Join our book club as we discover how math helps us to know God and to make Him known. The Math Map Book Club, where Kirsty Gilpin and I each week discuss the Math Map curriculum for students enrolled in Classical Conversations communities. Today is Wednesday, May 21st. And throughout the school year, we try to match up our lessons one-to-one in the order a family and a tutor would work on them. But over the summer, we're doing some special editions in order to answer big questions people ask. So for today, we have Shauna Howell, and she's going to be leading our discussion, and she's got a great topic: how to use the Math Map Companion.
Great. Well, thank you, Lee. I am excited to be here with all of you to share the golden nuggets that you can find in the Math Map Companion. And now, before we go and take a look at that, I just want to preface that this curriculum, the Math Map curriculum, all 30 booklets, is fully self-contained. Everything you need to successfully answer the lesson pages are within each of those booklets, and not only in the 30 booklets, but in each particular booklet for that week. So that was really important. Lee saw the vision of how on the go we are. So maybe you don't do academics outside of the house, but you at least go to community once a week, and grabbing just booklet, knowing, having the confidence that you have everything you need instead of filling that backpack with all the different resources. So we are excited to know that this curriculum is self-contained, and yet inquiring minds want to know, right? We all want to know. And 93% of Americans have math anxiety, and they are passing it to their children. That is a phenomenal statistic that I believe the Math Map is going to just blow it out of the water. And in order to do that, Lee wanted to be sure we had all the resources and support so that we could walk out the Math Map curriculum, have the language, have the vocabulary, have computational skills with confidence as we impart these learning skills to our children. So that's what we would take a look at, seeing what is in the companion. So when you are a CC family, you have full access to the companion. So I'm going to just change slides here. So hopefully you can give me a thumbs up. You still see my screen. And we are in CC Connected Learning Center. And this is much often now we do promote that the companion is located in semester 1 of week 7. However, it is making a move to semester 1, week 1, very soon in the month of June, in the first week of June. So that's just next week. Can't believe June is just around the corner. So you will find the Math Map Companion lives in semester 1 of week 1, starting in June, but currently lives in week 7. But that's a lot to remember. So there are other ways to access the companion. And so when we are in the Learning Center, we can be in any of our program levels, but you see here I'm in Challenge, and I'm just going to click on All Types. And I'm going to click on the interactive tutorial, and it's going to bring the thumbnail, the tile, right to the surface. Now, I could have put companion in the chat, in the search bar. I could have put TMM, many words, and yet sometimes you're in a hurry, and a few clicks as possible is the preference. And so that's where you can go to All Types, interactive tutorial, and it'll populate right to the top. So when I click on the tile, you'll see we have the Math Map Companion pulls up. Now, if I was at home, I could definitely look at it from this screen. And yet, since we have an audience here that we're all sharing, I'm going to launch it full screen, and that will bring it up so we can all see it a little bit larger. Now, I can open it from this screen here. It does open like a book. So if I put my cursor in the corner, it will roll back. But I'm going to just choose to click on here. But before I do that, I want to point out 2 other links that are on this front cover. This is how to use the companion. This is a video. This link takes you to a video that's about 7 minutes, and that tells you all about the companion. but since we're going to click through there, we don't need that. And then this other one is a video that is about 3 to 4 minutes that will share with you how to access the tutor resources. But again, we'll take a quick peek at those during our tour through the companion. So I'm going to click on my cover. Now, a premise in the a foundational premise in the math map is that the familiar leads us to the unfamiliar. This is the point where we learn. And in the math map companion, you will find that that is the case. So when we opened the book, when we opened our companion book, you see the very familiar is going to be on the left. This, our compass page, our map, is extremely familiar to us because it is in every single booklet in every single one of our domains. And yet in the Math Map Companion, it becomes an interactive table of contents where everything is clickable. And so this will be our primary starting place for our tour today. And yet I want to mention how when we click on anything that is familiar, that is populated on the left, on the right will be new information. This is additional information that is not in your booklet and will further inform you. The Math Map Companion, I actually call, it's really a mathematical encyclopedia that's digitally interactive. It just looks like and feels like everything about our curriculum so that we can easily find mathematical information, whether it's vocabulary or sample problems or a video that may explain it a little bit more. And so the familiar here of our map is on the left, and then on the right, you see our welcome. And then down below here, there is, after your welcome to the companion, is this introductory video. If I clicked on this introductory video link, you will see that what populates are links to videos that explain further in depth of the math map. So these are wonderful for an introduction. And yet let's go back and take a look over here on the left of our map. And as I mentioned, everything is clickable. Now, the other thing to note about the Math Map Companion is that it is a work in progress. It launched live last April of 2024. So that was just a little over a year ago. And ever since then, regular updates are made. We continue to add things, update things. Specifically, you know that we had downloadable beta versions of PDFs for a while, and now those have been removed and replaced with interactive pages that we will be able to look at today. So if I happen to click on something of my table of contents, because you can see that it all seems very clickable, if I click on something and it's not built out yet, it'll just give me a screen that says under construction. And so then you know that that is coming soon. So let's start in the corner here with the logo. When I click on the Math Map logo, I have a whole new table of contents of links that take me to all about the Math Map. I can learn what is the Math Map, why use it. There's a note from Lee here to encourage you. There's something from the team. And then those introductory videos that were on the front, you can also access them here because they go together. And then it ends with naturals lessons. Now, I want to say a word about the naturals lessons because you'll find naturals domains here are the downloadable by booklet. There are 16 lesson pages. The exordium of the 3 cover elements are included. The contribution conversation is there. And then the solutions pages are all in these downloadable by booklets. And yet the naturals domain is the perfect domain to become familiar with our curriculum as an adult. And it is actually a prerequisite if you're a challenge tutor, tutoring the math map for the first time. We strongly recommend that you go through the naturals lessons. So for your convenience, we have this naturals lessons with 4 to a page. So this does not include your solutions, but you know you have access to the solutions in the downloadable booklets. This will give you all 30 booklets, lesson pages, 4 to a page for a 158-page document. This makes it much more convenient if you want to print it out personally. I got to about lesson 7 or 8 of naturals, and then I wanted it printed out and putting my pen to the paper to do the exercises. And so that may or may not be, but we have your preference, but we do have this as an option for you so that it is all in one file for your convenience. And many of the directors have especially found this helpful. All right, let's go back and take a peek at the next thing we're going to look at is domains. Domains and dimensions are also clickable. That is going to give you a definition and tell you a little bit about that. And so you'll have this article on domains. Now, I tend to get too click happy and I'm always clicking before I wait, but you do want to pause 3 heartbeats. Sometimes a banner will come across that it's loading, but even then, we want to wait 3 heartbeats to fully give an opportunity for the companion to catch up with your clicking. So when you see here the domains, you'll see there's an article there. And then that means also that each of these domains, even the ones where we have not built out, we have not loaded up the particular booklets, all the domains have a description that will give you the mathematical symbol as well as a description of that domain. And then when we get to complex, everything from complex to the right there through transcendental, so those are your junior high and high school, you will have the addition. You still get the mathematical symbol as well as the description, and then you also get a course description in case you wanted to make a transcript or build a transcript. This gives you the language of what is encompassed here. And so all of these are clickable to give you that course description. Then if we go over here a little bit to the notes section, this word here, notes, when we click there, again, another table of contents holding links that will inform us further. We have a glossary. We have an audio glossary. We have the wonderful, beautiful travel log. We have how to pursue it if it's your first tour or your second tour, or tailoring the curriculum. The curriculum is so wonderfully designed in its layout. It makes tailoring extremely hospitable to the student and the parent. And then you have this permission letter. This permission letter is in case you wanted to print any of the beta versions at a print shop, and then the complex errata. Now, I want to just mention about the errata sheet. It is the publishing standard that the errata is going to be available where the curriculum is sold, and that is true for us. We have the errata for complex is available in our bookstore, and yet as CC members, and we own the curriculum, now we don't need to keep going back to the bookstore to get the errata. So the errata link, it's the same link. It is just lives here for your convenience, and it will be moving. We are going to move it as we have other erratas besides complex coming. We have one for monomials and fractions, and so they're going to live within its domain description. You will find it here in the future. So again, just to show you that it is a work in progress. We are always updating and improving it. Now let's move on over here to dimensions. How are we doing are there any questions? I haven't seen any questions populate. Okay. So over here in dimensions, we have dimensions defined as well as each dimension. This will tell you about 0D, 1D, and so on. All of the dimensions have a description. And what I would like to point out is a little bit of a cue, because this is first dimension, and you can see that this is an article. But if I go back to 0 dimension, I want you to take note that 0D has a title box, and the title box has a grayed background. This is an IQ for you to note that there is a scroll bar, because there's more than meets the eye to read in this spot. So you can see this has a title box. I call it a title box. So I'm going to look for a scroll bar because there's more reading to do there. So then you can engage with the scroll bar. So that is the cue. When you visually see that, that's what you're looking for, is a scroll bar. And then not only is there information along the side about each dimension, but all 30 weeks, all 30 math topics also are clickable and have information behind them. If I click on week 3, this is comparison, the comparison week, you will notice that what populates to the right, remember, familiar to unfamiliar, are going to be 2 videos. This first video is a broad overview on the topic of the week. It does not matter which domain it is. It applies to all the domains. So you are finding it within that math topic of the week. The second video is a video series that we started January of 2024. So that was over a year ago. The book club ran a series where we covered 2 naturals booklets in 15 weeks. So we spent 30 minutes on each booklet. So that was the first 4 pages of math of each booklet. And that video is embedded here, again, because we have asked the directors of Challenge A and B, anybody in their first year of the Math Map, to work through the naturals. And so this is a very helpful tool in becoming familiar with our curriculum, is to use this. And so because it is, remember, it's covering this hour-long video, 30 minutes of each booklet. So in this case, we're looking at week 3. And so this top video is specific to week 3. The bottom video is 3 and 4. So then if I click on addition and subtraction, I'm going to find that same video so I can watch the second half for that week. And then this top video, again, is an overarching recap for an introduction for the math topic. And we haven't even left this page yet. I don't know about you, but there's so much information just on our map, on our table of contents, interactive table of contents. So now what I'd like to do is we're going to see how the pages are interactive. I keep calling it a digitally interactive encyclopedia of math. And so now let's take a look at how those pages can be interactive. If we look at comparison, and you'll see here, where I'm going to just take a peek at booklet 2, number notation of fractions, because that may be unfamiliar to some of you since it just launched live in April. So when I click on it, you'll see it looks exactly like our booklet. So the familiar, again, the familiar is on the left, and then what will be new will populate on the right. So if I came into Fractions Booklet 2 and I wanted to know more about the artwork, I click on it, and additional information that is not in your booklet will populate to the right. Same thing with my quotation and reflection. In this case, I don't know if many of you remember Dr. Swenson. We used to read his book way back in the early years of Challenge A, More Than Meets the Eye, a wonderful Christian surgeon. And when the Challenge A students would be drawing their body systems, we would sometimes use this as a read aloud. And so we have his quote here, "Nothingness obeys his voice." And so maybe we want to know more about Richard Swenson. We don't know that he's a surgeon. And so we can come in here and find more information. Or what about St. John? When we click on St. John, additional information comes out. Now, keep in mind, remember the title box I mentioned? So what does that mean I'm going to do? I'll look for that scroll bar because there's going to be more to read there. All right. Okay. What else can we look at? This is just the first page. So I'm going to click on my hamburger menu over here. And before I forget, I just want to point out down here, we have some zoom features. We could zoom in or zoom out or full screen it. So you have other, so at any point in time, if you wanted to enlarge or go further out, you have those features here. But in this little hamburger menu, we click on it and it also, again, the familiar. What is familiar? Everything, the exact layout of our booklets, the exact page by page. So again, the familiar to lead us to the unfamiliar. And if we go all the way down, we see the page by page to the game. And then what is below the game is the glossary. Now, the glossary I showed you in the front end, right? Oh, we didn't look at the glossary, but I showed you that there was a link to the glossary there. The link to the glossary is here. So it actually lives in both places, because sometimes you will come into the companion to look at the glossary, and other times you'll be in the middle of a booklet and want to use the glossary. So the same glossary, the same link is located in both places for your convenience. And when I click on it, no matter where I click on it, it's going to open in a different tab so as to save my place. You see that? I'm still here. I still have this, but now I have the glossary. This glossary is a wonderful resource. It too opens like a book. So you'll see here when I hover over the corner, the page peels back, click on it, and the first 3 pages consist of common symbols. And so you'll find a lovely charts here. And then the next 2 pages are our instructional words. And this is very helpful. These are command words that will tell us that what it is we're supposed to do. Circle, trace, attend, discuss, compare. All those kinds of words are the words that we use for students to attend to the pages and complete the lesson pages successfully. So we have 2 pages of those. Then we start the alphabetical listing of the glossary. And so this little hamburger menu will populate your alphabet. Now, one of my favorite things about the glossary is the chart column. When you see here, if I come across the word abscissa and I'm not even sure what that is or where it is, I look it up in the glossary, and yes, it gives me the definition, and it gives me even a working example, but it also gives me the charts. So I can see that this word was actually first introduced into the curriculum in booklet 3, chart 1. And it's also further addressed in 9.1 and in 19.1. Now, we didn't talk about the layout of the paper booklets, but all of you, I'm sure, know, if you're on this call, you are probably familiar with the layout of the booklet. So I'm just going to refresh your memory. If I find something, if I know that something is in booklet 3 on chart 1, what does that tell me about my lesson pages? If I wanted to go and practice using this word, what lesson pages could I go and look at and find out where, if I already completed the lesson pages, I would find where I worked with this word, or if I hadn't completed it and I wanted more practice, I could go and find that. That would be, if you remember the pattern of the booklets with chart 1, generally speaking, not specific, but generally somewhere on pages 1, 5, 9, and 13 of the 16 lesson pages, I'm going to find that I interacted with that word. And so this is just, I believe this is a really gold nugget for everyone who wants to use the glossary. It's just a very helpful tool. All right, now we'll go back and continue our journey. So when we'll take a look at we looked at the cover and how it's clickable. Now let's look at an invention page. This is the part of the frame pages, and we call them the frame pages because they physically frame the rest of the contents of the book, and yet they also frame the contents of the book. If you think about what is a frame usually frames maybe an art piece or something else, and it complements it. So these frame pages that we look at do just that. And in the front part of the book, our frame pages are the invention and the memoria and arrangement page. So if I click on the invention in my fractions booklet, you'll see here that again, the familiar, and nothing is over here on the right. But as I click every section, I haven't clicked anything, but you can see that it is clickable. And then additional information populates on the right. This will tell me specifically about a little bit more about that concept, the importance of 0. And then you see there's a title box. So I'll look for that scroll bar. Lots of reading there that I can indulge in. Euler diagrams. All right, so lots of articles and additional information. What about Memoria and Arrangement page? Now, this also is clickable. And you will see when I click on it, additional information populates. So I can learn about anything on this page, very specific. And those are the early frame pages. Those are the front end pages. These pages are used in seminar every week by the tutor. Now let's look at the lesson pages. We're going to look at the first 4 lesson pages. Our commitment to you on these first 4 lesson pages in 2024 is that in addition to any articles that you would be reading about, the tops of the first 4 lesson pages would have a snippet of a video to further explain that concept or that exercise. And so we have done that. And then our commitment to you in 2025 is to address the whole page. So on this particular page, you will see that the tops has 2 concepts, and each concept has a little bit of language here, but then also a snippet of a video. Those videos that we looked at in the front of the companion were 15, 30-minute videos. These videos within the pages are only going to be 2 to 3 minutes long and very specific to the exercise that it's highlighting. So here it really is about completing this sentence, and then here it's going to be about the Euler diagram. And then we continue to have videos for other aspects of the page. And that will be our commitment to you, is that will happen for the first 4 pages of every booklet. In the future, we may continue to build out pages 5 through 16, but by providing the first 4 pages and the tops of the first 4 pages, what do you have? What happens if I have a question about page 5 or maybe page 6? Let's see, that would be 2, 6, 10, and 14 all have similar problems. So if my question is on 6, I can go to page 2. If my question is on page 5, I can go to page 1, and so on. So that's how we can provide you with so much support, even still while we are in the middle of rolling out this wonderful curriculum. All right, so that's how the first 4 pages work. And then how about the charts? There's so much information on the charts. That is a wealth of information. And yet there's more. So as we click through the charts, you will also find additional information with lots of scroll bars for every aspect of the chart, so that you can just focus in on that particular topic or that particular subject matter, and it will give you all of great information. Then the solutions pages. Now, this is where I personally would come and use the companion. My seasoned eyes would appreciate just a little bit larger. And so when you come into the solutions and you click on the solutions, it just goes full size. But then don't forget, you also have these zoom in and zoom out features in the corner. And yet this is very handy. Now, after the solutions, we'll go to the careful calculations page. This is the page that is in the back. It's extra outside of your 5-day week of 4 lesson pages. And yet sometimes parents want to engage with it. It can be used as extra practice or a quiz. And it's just convenient to come in here and click it. And then the answer key will populate on the right. The answer key is here. It is, while you can find the answers within the booklet, it is in a very convenient format for you here in the companion. And then if we go beyond the careful calculations page to our inside back cover, you will see that we have some conversation starters. I think a lot of families may miss this, but this is a really great tool for parents when they're trying to figure out how do they have a conversation with their independent student who's completing the lesson pages on their own. And this is what this section is good for. Like, how do I discern my student's comprehension of the material that they're pursuing? And so this is where you can come and give some parents some ideas. And then notice the quick flip. is noted here, because as if you've been following the game series that we're in the middle of, you will hear about how the games are so valuable. A lot of times parents are asking, what if I want more computation? Play the games, incorporate the games, and use Quick Flip. Your student will have more than enough computation without doing dry, dull worksheets, but actually engaging and integrating into their life because they're playing a game using their math skills. It's really beautiful. And then, of course, down here is the instructions for the games that are on that back cover. You'll find that. And then don't forget about your action item list. If you need anything for next week's booklet, it will be there. And so then if we go to the game itself, then we'll see that ends the booklet. So you can see the game is there. All right. Okay, so then I always say happy clicking because really you can see that there is so much information. If you have any question, or if you're just curious about the companion, you can't break it. You can just come in and click, and you can get click happy like me and just click too soon and nothing happens. But if you wait the 3 heartbeats, then all kinds of things can happen. And you'll discover that as you hover over when it loads and it's ready and it hovers over, you can see how there's a yellow box. See how it boxed that? So then I know whatever has populated to the right is attending to that specific item. So if I get confused or get lost on what I'm clicking on, I just can look over there as I click on it, and that yellow box lets me know, oh, I see. Yes, this is what I had clicked on. Or, oh, I didn't mean to click on that. I really wanted to click on this. So again, it is really thoughtful. And again, it is a work in progress. So what I'd like to do, are there any questions I need to address? I want to show something else too, Babs. Are there anything that?
Yeah, well, Kristen was asking about a link to Quick Flip. I think it might, is it in the tutor page? I don't know if we have it anywhere else, but
It
I'm
is
thinking it
not in
might
the
come.
tutor page, but it is available to all CC connected family members. But I wonder if we could somehow link it back into, since it is in CC connected, where their CCM membership materials are. I wonder if we could link it. I would love to do that. Maybe we could
I'll
ask.
make a note.
Okay. Um, so as I was talking about how it is such a work in progress, I just want to show you the kinds of things futuristic where we're going. I'm going to look at booklet 6, and I'm going to do it in complex. I mean, I'm sorry, not 6, 16. It's triangles and circles. It's called triangles and circles. And if I click over here to my menu, I want to look at chart 16. I want to look at chart 1 in booklet 16 to show you. And so again, everything is clickable with additional information and lots of scroll bars. And then this is why you wouldn't want the companion printed. This is how you can take something classical and move it into the digital age, being digitally interactive. If I click on trigonomic functions, this animation is what I can get. And this is so exciting to me to think about. Like, not only do we have snippets of videos, 2 minutes, that can explain things, and we have lots and lots of articles, but then we can actually 3D dimensionalize things with video and animation and all kinds of things to help the learner or the lead learner be able to express what it is that we're learning. So I'm just so excited about the value that is packed into this. And the companion is only available to those that are in our communities. So this is really just a tremendous blessing and asset to your education. What other questions? Anybody want to unmute and comment or make? Did you learn anything, or you all knew this? This was all familiar.
Melissa asked about the differences. Do we recommend a specific browser? I don't know that we have an answer for that.
Well, we do find that sometimes a browser will get stuck, and the person the person will have better success on a different browser, but that really depends on the type of device they have. It's not so much that we say this is better, it's more individual, is what I have found. And so when people do get stuck, then and they email us, then usually, and we can't figure anything else out, even if it is on, like I'm using Google Chrome, even if it is on a typical browser, using a different browser may happen. And the other thing, that is one thing that I want you to be encouraged to do, is to like reload, because as you stay logged in, remember there are consistent and continual updates. And sometimes your system may get stuck on an old version. And so you want to be able to reload so that you can sync it.
Shauna, something that would help me, that was excellent, is to go ahead and do a clincher. Could you now go back to that very first page you showed us and click 1 or 2 pages in? Because we saw that and then we saw all this information. So remind us how we begin the organization of that. What did you just do? You just clicked on something. What did you click on to get there?
Yes, that's a good point. I did not give you that little secret. When you are in the booklet, to go back to your map, to go back to your compass page, it's this little icon of a compass. That takes you back. And while we're here too, I would like to show you the tutor page. And the reason why I would like to show you the tutor section, so everything that we have looked at so far is 100% accessible to all the families in CC. It doesn't matter which program you're in. So if I'm a parent of a 5-year-old in my first year of foundations, or if I am a parent and I only have a 17-year-old who's finishing challenge, we have the same access to all of the companion. If you can see semester 1, week 7, soon to be week 1, you can see all of the companion. And that includes the tutor section. And oftentimes Babs and I will get questions like, well, we really need tutor to have the tutor videos. But the videos that you have in access to, those are the videos that the tutors are also viewing that actually pertain to the math. The tutor section has their videos pertain to the logistics of running the strand. And so it's not something, I think it's not necessarily something that you would want to see as a parent as much as those videos that I showed you in the beginning, or the videos that are located within the page. But you as a parent can click on the tutor section. And what you can see here is that this section, and remember it's in a title box. So what am I going to do? I'm going to look for a scroll bar. This section right here, you can read this. And this is your big idea. If there was anything that I wanted to capture, a summary or impart upon my student for the week, it would be found in this box right here. And you do have access to that. If you click on any of these other resources, it just takes you to a screen that says you need to be in your tutor role in order to access it. And then how do you get back? There's this image right here that'll take you back to that. And then how do I get back? Again, it is that click of my compass. This is my compass. That takes me to my compass page or my map page. And it takes a minute. You saw how it gave you the cover. So you just have to be patient and wait. And then it populates back to my table of contents here. So is that helpful? Is that what you wanted, Lee? Was there something else there?
No, I just knew there was a way to do it, and I wasn't sure if it was that compass or not. So thank you. And then also it's a good clincher. Somebody did just ask a question that probably needs answered. I saw it flash by. You want to read it, Babs?
Is the audio glossary still in progress? Because it's only 1 page right now. And then another one kind of related to that was, Kristen said, show the glossary highlighted audio glossary terms. Are you saying it's inside the glossary, Kristen, and it's highlighted when it's an audio? Or
Sorry.
just saying,
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So in the glossary, the regular glossary, there are terms that are in yellow. And one time I had asked, because I didn't know the significance of that, But Percy told me that those are the audio glossary terms that are highlighted in yellow. So I think sign, oh, I don't know which one. Let me see if I can, there's one.
Like this one here?
Mm-hmm. So I know by its yellow color that it's also in the audio glossary. So if I were to look at the audio glossary, I know that secant is going to be one of the terms that's described probably in the trigonometry section down below.
Great. Thank you for that little tidbit. And so somebody said they thought it was one page, but I thought that when as you go through, the page changes. Right? If I get to the end of this section,
Oh, so you're saying you have to hit play, and then when it gets to the end, it goes to the next page? Okay.
that's what I was of the understanding, right?
I was thinking it was still one page though. But
I
I
think
don't
the
know.
audio glossary is only one page because those are all terms that are maybe more unfamiliar to everyone. And so Kirsty
Okay.
wanted to go through and read through each of them in the correct mathematical way of pronouncing them.
So some of the words
Okay.
we found, because we assume people can read math, and we found out quickly no, all of us can't. So things like how do you pronounce S-I-N versus S-I-N-E? So things that seem to cause people confusion because they're unfamiliar are what's going into the audio glossary, just so you can pronounce it when you're reading it with your children or for your own studies. So I don't believe everything's going to become part of an audio glossary. It's just the difficult words.
Okay. And I love this. If you look down here, because this is something that it is in the naturals, it's even in the digits and naturals and has been asked several times, how do you read this? How do you read this sentence down here? And then that's what she has. So that integral of x squared plus 3 dx from negative pi to pi. So it is really wonderful to see those sentences there for you of how to read that.
If you have some, I would encourage you to email the math map if you find some that
Yes.
you don't know how to say, and Kirsty can add them.
I was going to say add Euler because it took way too long for me to stop saying Euler.
I know, for the longest, I don't know if I did it today, but usually I go Euler Euler. And it helps because I was just going through the book. I was listening audibly to the book Once Upon a Prime. Oh, so wonderful. And she talks about him all the time. So that might have helped solidify it for me. I was just listening to somebody else say his name right. That's great. Good. All right. Okay. Anything else that I can click on while we're here or answer questions about?
So in general, can you tell us what the difference is between your first tour and your second tour? You don't necessarily have to go through it, but what kind of things would make that different?
So look at that. You've got the grammar, your first tour. And how is it that we go through? I mean, I think this probably refers a lot to how it's a gentle transition from complex to monomials. And then when you go to your second tour, now you're adding the dialectic.
And it looks like we need to add some more. Yeah, a lot of folks, I think you were very clear, but none of this is finished. As we continue to release lessons, there's more and more explanation, examples, and images and videos will be added.
Yes, yes. I think the first and second tour, helps us be restful in this first year, because no matter where you start the math map, whether you're 5 years old or 13 years old, your first year, you need to be gentle and recognize that you are taking in a lot of grammar, and you're taking in while we are classical educators and we've been educating classically, and as kids, we're being educated classically, we haven't looked at math like that. And so now we're getting all of the math, just like we would get all of the timeline in the 1 year. And so we're approaching it differently. And so we need to be patient, just like we're patient with how many times does it take us to say 3 + 5 = 8? How many times do we say that? We say that 7 times. And so this first year, no matter where you are, it's going to take you a minute or 2 or 10 to seek and find answers within the charts. And so maybe you don't do as many pages initially until you are familiar, become more and more familiar.
One thing, Shauna, that I found by accident, actually, I had a director come to one of our office hours and we were looking for an answer in the booklets. And so we went to like one of the lesson pages, like one of the 1, 2, 3, 4 lesson pages. And I was like, oh, there's a video here. That's what you were showing. But there was like a cheat sheet at the top that had the chart numbers. And so I was like, oh, it says it's right on chart 2-1. So then we got the booklet out and we found chart 2-1 and then we found the answer. So I like the fact that it's not in, because somebody asked, well, why don't you just put that in the booklet? Well, then the kids are going to know, like, we need to help them, like you were saying, seek and find, give the parent the
Yes.
answer in the companion, but let the student go look. And then if the student needs
Yes.
help, then we can say, well, it might be on this chart. Maybe you should look over on this chart, and give them a
Yes.
clue. But I liked having the little chart sheets, inside the companion on the lesson pages.
Yes. Yeah, and if it has it, it's usually here, like for example, here. But generally speaking, we know that every booklet, 1, 5, 9, and 13 is informed by, generally speaking, chart 1, and 2, 6, 10, and 14 is informed by chart 2. And so if we have a student who needs to focus in more on fewer than more, we can assign them, okay, do your seek and find with pages 1, 5, 9, and 13 with just chart 1. And that way you're not spoon feeding them. You're not spoon feeding them to pass a test. And they are taking ownership. They can annotate those charts. Okay, I found the answer, and circle it or highlight it or asterisk, make icons, whatever they want to do to make it their own. And that is what they will remember. That is what they'll remember 10 years from now when they're on a test. They'll remember they seek and found. Okay, there's a lot of things in the chat, but I hope that
Yeah, we've been
there's no
answering
questions.
them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Shauna, that was really excellent. Thank you everybody for being here in the chat questions as well as the auditory
Yes.
questions. And I am sure next year we will need to do one more of these in the summer because so much more will be added. And so thanks so much to the Lord for adding unto us as we seek his purposes in our lives. So goodbye, everybody. Oh, you want to go over your activity pages? Do you want to do this first?
Yes, if I could
Yeah,
just
go ahead.
remind people what they will be doing, that we're continuing through the booklets next week with the game series. We'll pick that up. Dr. Gilpin will be back and Lee will be back, and we'll have our guest pursuing the games. And then just remember where all of your support is, and you can always email us at the Math Map. And that's it.
Thank
We
you,
did have one
Shauna.
question in the chat.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you recommend 2 tours of the same booklet level, or is the second tour continuing to the next level?
I mean, I'm happy to answer that. I think
Sure.
it depends. I think if you feel like your child got hardly any of the work done, you might want to do the same book all over again, versus the curriculum is designed so that every 3 years it is super similar, just like in essentials. So if you think of it as digits, naturals, and digits, naturals, and integers, that's a tour. And so you have, or that's a series of 3. So there's tour 1, tour 2, tour 3. You can treat it that way with every 3 years lumped together. And that neat that the Trinity is important in studying. And so the other way to do it would be to take fractions and do fractions 3 years in a row. The point is to learn to teach yourself math, to learn your resources, to learn the language, and then to play the games and the pages for calculation and activities. Think about like if we were a couple hundred years ago when someone had a math book, they had one textbook for 12 years. Think about you guys with your Bible. You have one Bible for a lifetime. So we've got to get off this graded roller coaster that has made it so that we've lost our confidence and don't understand. We need to be Christians and know, where are we going? So the math map charts teach you where you're going, and everything else we've designed is just little tips and tricks and hints and practices to get you there.
Excellent. I'm excited. I'm
You're
excited
doing
to see
great.
it to all of the students, just really, and that 93% of math anxiety will be non-existent because we have all these students in classical conversations pursuing the math map. Great combination.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Sorry, I'm late. But so when I come on, they were talking about the charts. Do you recommend that each student just go back to the charts so that they can actually see what was annotated from the last time? So then they just use the same set of charts from year to year? Or do you want them to start with a fresh chart every year?
I would love for Jill to answer that if she's still on, because she has a lot of experience in it.
Yeah, is she on? I think it's going to depend on the student. I really think that both have value, and yet at some point, some students are going to want a fresh start, but other students, that'll be a couple of years. Is she on here?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Hi. Yes, I would say I agree with you, Shauna, that it does depend on the student. But I think that one of the things that was valuable to us, because my son was in the first year of the pilot and we didn't have anything beyond complex for a few years, so he did complex for several years in a row. And he grew every year because we did not, even though it was successful, I would not say we mastered it. We still had to remind ourselves of a lot. It was still good content again and again. And looking back at the things, having the freedom to write in your chart and know that yes, you can build on it, or if you need a fresh chart, it's there for you, is very freeing. And so it is going to depend on you and on your student. You might assign some things to them in your first time or in one set of charts that together you're working on it. And on the second set of charts, now you almost have an answer key and you're looking to see, did you accomplish the things that we set as goals last year? So there's just a lot of ways to use those, and knowing that you will get a new set is one of the best things ever, because like your trivium tables, they run out. You can guard those, but these charts, they're back again.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. The charts and the compass page where we can put notes as to how the student did. If you need to keep track of whatever of the student's accomplishments for the year, for year-end testing or whatever requirements you're aiming for, that just can go in their folder as, this is it. You want to know what my kid was learning this year? This is it. You can see where they've marked all the charts for the year of what they learned. Yeah, that and the compass page. Great.
Well, I think we're out of time, and thank you so much. Anything else? Because we do have a minute, but it looks like we're all done with our questions. So thanks, Shauna, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank
See
you,
next
Lee.
week.
God bless you
Bye.
all. Bye.